you have to do it all again. Now the cost of buying a map, very expensive. Because you're paying for the analysis, but you're then also paying for someone else to do the analysis. So if we come here, these colours are all fairly bright because it's yield. Let's go to here. So the pH, this field is very bright colours of green and yellow and darker yellow. These are less, these are more muted shades. This is really, really dark. And that's because this was a clover field which we cut 3 times before we turned it into an arable field. However, this patch here, when it was a clover field, had trees in it. When we chopped down the trees, we had to analyse that section. So this section is fresh data, this is aged data. But if we go there, this is all 6.75. But when I put it back, actually let's turn off the colours around it. So this is it all 6.75. This is fresh because we just bought this field, so it's fresh data. This is fresh because we just ploughed that section, created a new field. This is aged because it's been harvested 3 or 4 times. This is also aged, but it's only been harvested 3 times. So, and as soon as it gets outdated, it just turns black. You have to go out with your Isaria Scout and go and analyse it again. This too is aged. It's got 3 harvests on it. This has about 4. This doesn't have any. So this is fresh data. Let's turn that one back on. Same for nitrogen. You'll see these are darker shades of red, but in general, this is all no nitrogen at all in these sections. But that's deep red, that's deeper red, that's a very bright red. This is sort of between that and that. Yeah. So anyway, so 6 harvests and you have to do it all again. I'm stopped because we don't have any lime. Oh, I'll fill it up completely. Helper G has completed their task. Okay. We'll take a break. We'll take a look at Helper G. Turn that on. So I guess I'm not... Well, I don't need to... We're in no rush to get the lime. The whole idea here is we can finish this field off. I'm going to miss a few bits, so we'll finish this field off. We can stick it up in field 1 and then go get the lime and finish off 3. The point here is we're not going to get held up planting because this is 2 fields behind where we're liming. So not an issue. Unfortunately, the worker didn't come all the way to the edge. Now, part of the problem is this is a long-trailed unit, and there is a wall in that hedgerow, so it stops a bit early. Oh, we've got a big block at the bottom too. Well, now, that's fun. I didn't install GPS on this tractor. Could have done. Can't remember. Not even sure the case has GPS either. Installed GPS on the Class, the 900 and the Challenger. And that's primarily because they're big. GPS doesn't really cost significantly more than the cost of the tractor, so it's not too big a deal whether we did that or not. Smaller tractors I tend not to. Yeah, this is £200,000 tractor and another 1,500 for GPS. I'll skip it. For Farm Sim 22, I think there's going to be a lot of consideration. What jobs am I going to do with this tractor? Because you're going to install guidance steering GPS on probably on your sprayers, just because there are situations where I'm spraying a field and I can't tell where I've been. It's not too bad for fertilization, because you can see where you've been because the mini-map shows you. Even on a contract, the mini-map shows you the blue stages of fertilization. So you have to fertilize a field twice on base game. With precision farming running, you have to fertilize the field twice for a contract. However, for spraying weeds, you can't tell where you've been. So having GPS for your spraying work, for your herbicide work, is definitely a bonus. What's the other one? But yeah, it's kind of a difficult thing to decide. But for ploughing, if I'm manually ploughing, I will generally run GPS, just because it's easy to set the plough up. Although there's a definite discouragement from ploughing with precision farming, because you'll lose environmental score for churning up the dirt too deep. So you're going to want to direct seed, which is what we're doing here, or very shallow cultivating. I'm not sure. I'm guessing a shallow cultivator will work. Probably a harrow. But the big cultivators with the deep tines, you kind of want to avoid those to get the best environmental score. And you want to avoid ploughs most of the time. I'm guessing if your field needs ploughed, you probably want to plough it, just because it'll affect your yield. You've still got the yield issues. So if you want to maximize yield, you've got to deal with the weeds. You've got to deal with what else is there? You've got to put down lime, you've got to make sure there's no weeds, you've got to fertilize fully, and you've got to make sure the field has been ploughed. Well, that's all nice and wonderful, but ploughing adversely affects your environmental score, so you kind of want to sort of avoid ploughing, or avoid crops that need to be ploughed afterwards. Which makes corn an issue, or root crops. Because you're either going to have to accept a 10% penalty to the yield, or 15%, 10-15% penalty to the yield because you didn't plough it, or because the ground hasn't been ploughed. But then you're going to take a hit to your environmental score, and your environmental score affects a bonus applied to your sales. So where it says, crop sale £20,000, it will then say, if you've got a 10% yield bonus a 10% income bonus because of your environmental score, you would then get plus 2,000. Second line that says 2,000 environmental score bonus or something like that. And obviously your environmental score is averaged over all of your fields, so you want to make sure that you maximize your environmental score. So if that means not ploughing fields that had corn or root crops in, you take that yield hit in order to keep your income bonus good for all of the rest of your crops. Unless all you're doing is root crops. If you're a potato farmer, then just plough it, because your potato yield will be adversely affected. And I am really screwing this up. Okay, I think I'm going to take us up to the top here. I'll take a right hand turn and we'll fill in those bits going down the field. And then head back over to the other side. Patch up what we've missed along the bottom. Come back to the island and tidy the mess we made there. I think this might be the last bit here. Okay, let's have a look at field. Okay. Zoom in, we've got a bit there, we've got a strip there, we've got a whole bit up there, we've got a couple of bits along the top. Looks like we've done the bottom. Okay. We're good. Let's head over here and finish off this bit. Actually, I can see some bits. Again, being a little bit fastidious in our planting here. I really don't have to worry, because when we seed this, we're going to put down solid fertilizer while we're seeding, or we're going to put down, we're going to seed it, let it grow a bit, and then put down liquid fertilizer. But in either case, that is going to top us up to the ideal levels of nitrogen for the crop that we end up planting. All the oilseed radish is going to do is sort of a non-game effect, which is to protect the dirt on the field while we're going through winter. So the root systems will stop the dirt getting washed away, especially on a hill like this. We do not want the topsoil getting washed off by rainstorms over the fall period. And secondly, it will add a level of nitrogen to the field. I believe it's about 40 to 60 kilos per hectare. So that's enough to, boost the field from what it is at the moment, which is 0. And so if we plant a crop that, say, needs 120 per hectare, we'll be halfway there. We won't have to use up as much liquid or solid fertilizer to get us to the ideal level. So that's the whole point, game-wise, of doing this. You could also spread slurry. Again, you're going to get a 40 to 60 kilo per hectare boost. So if you're planting something like corn, wheat, triticale spelt, rye, barley, they all need a very high nitrogen level, so it's actually a good deal to just do as much as you can before you plant in order to reduce your costs of fertilizer when you get round to actually putting the crop in the field and having the system know what is the ideal level of fertilizer or nitrogen that this crop needs. At the moment, there's no, we've got oilseed radish in at the moment, but when you've got no crop in the field, it's really not primed to decide how much do I actually need here. Fold that up so we can get through the gate. But as I said, it's a real life. It would be a two-deal process or benefit. We are doing this to protect the soil. Oops. Go lower. There we go. That's better. Okay, I'm going to take us round the outside once. And that should give us enough separation from the hedgerow along the sheep pasture, so this doesn't go rampant, ripping up the grass. Part of the problem with direct seeding, if this was a planter or just a normal seeder that doesn't direct seed, we would be able to run this in the field without any problems, because if it started off into the into the sheep pasture, it would just say, hey, I can't plant stuff here. But we are ripping up what's in the ground and replacing it, unless what's in the ground is the same as what we're planting. Which is kind of magic. I think FarmSim 17, a direct seeder, would rip up the seed in the ground and then replace it. So it could get very, very inefficient planting in a direct seeder, just because you're going, you're parts of it you're driving over what's already been seeded. And not so much of an issue here. FarmSim 19, they did optimize that so that if I switched to grass, it would rip up the oilseed radish and replant it as grass. But if I just drive round and round on the same circle, it will plant the oilseed radish the first pass, and then it won't use up any more seed as we go round and round again. Excuse me a minute. Okay, just getting an update from Mrs. Osa. We have done the headland, so this is working. And we'll get this thing started and head down to the store. So as I said, we'll get as full a tank as I can. Obviously, it's 18,950, so whatever's at the store plus enough to keep us under that amount. Then I guess we'll be very close to being done for the day. That's interesting. Obviously we've still got field 3 to plant. Now I don't actually need all of my tractors for the rest of the harvest. We used every single tractor we had for the rye harvest because what were we doing? We had 2 tractors carting. We had a tractor baling, a tractor collecting the bales, and a tractor on the header trailer. So that was all 5 of our tractors, apart from the Valtra, which is mostly just used for fertilizing. So once we finished the rye harvesting, I could free up 2 of the tractors because we weren't baling and collecting bales. So that's why the 2 class tractors are still out working, because we did ploughing with this one. Actually I did tidy up ploughing with the other one on that one field that we didn't plough last year because I wasn't paying attention. And then we went on to putting lime down with this tractor and planting the oilseed with the other one. And they've been at it non-stop while we harvested all of the canola. So now that's all done. The same will be true with sunflowers. We'll harvest the sunflowers. We'll have 2 tractors carting. We'll have 1 on the header trailer, and I'm going to have 2 tractors spare, and probably no jobs for them to do. And similarly with the sugar beet harvest. Okay, we are going to get 9 of these. I think that's about right. I could have completely messed up my counting. Looks like 9. So how are we doing? As I said, this tractor needs to go in for a service when we're done here. I have enjoyed having this tractor on the farm, and actually the Challenger. Lovely tractor. And we do have the opportunity to have the Challenger in our next series, although probably not from the get-go. This model is not available. We would have to use the Giants version of the 900, although the 800 is available as a CMT software mod. We can have the Johnston trailer, that's available in 22, although I did find it's a little bit awkward to use because you have to put the attachments underneath the trailer in order to attach them, which is a little bit annoying. our startup is going to be very, very limited. I'm not planning on just doing a dump of money into the farm. We will be starting from scratch. I will probably be maxing the loan, and basically the situation is we've inherited the farm. It is up to the eyeballs in debt, and parts of the farm were auctioned off, all of the equipment was auctioned off, and so we have the farm, which is going to use all of the debt, possibly some extra money, and we will have £300,000 to buy equipment and survive the first year. So lease what we need, buy what we need. There's probably going to be a lot of leasing in the first year just to get things done. There will be a huge millstone around our neck with the loan payments. So we have to make sure we got enough money for that. I'm not expecting... It's not going to be totally impossible, because the contracts on a lot of the farms I'm looking at do pay very well. And we're not going to restrict ourselves by saying you can't borrow equipment when you do a contract. We will effectively get paid for using the other farmers' equipment to get the job done, which is fine. And that should keep us out of the hole. But if we go into negative, we are completely stuck. I did that in Farm Sim 17. I just expanded the farm way too fast, faster than the income could support. And yeah, the playthrough ended very quickly. So you've got to be careful. I tend not to play with any debt or debt for a matter of days. So while I've got a ton of, like at the moment, I've got 170,000 litres of canola in the silos. That's worth about £170,000. So let's say I found a field for 600,000. I could say, well, I can buy that and harvest it, and then when we sell the canola, I'm covered. Even if the harvest of that field doesn't cover the debt we go into. I'm similarly, if we got to, the sugar beets are ready to harvest and I don't have a sugar beet harvester, it's not actually a problem, because I could either borrow the money to buy a sugar beet harvester, or I could lease the sugar beet harvester also on debt. But because it's going to create sugar beets that can be sold for £200,000, it's not a big deal. What I'm not going to do normally is, we'll just borrow 500,000 and go out and buy £1 million field and then not have any income for 6 months. That's a bad plan. So I'm really limiting short-term borrowing for something that is going to make me money right away. Alrighty, here we are back here.